Hey everybody, it's Pete Hegseth here, 1 minute late for my Premier Collectibles book live signing. I'm so grateful that you're here. We got a lot in front of us. We got plenty of time and lots of questions. And you can't see the books around me because I'm doing this on my iPhone. But I've got stacks upon stacks upon stacks of books here that I will be signing throughout this hour. Now, truth be told, I've pre-signed a lot of them already. So my right hand barely works because I've been signing and signing and signing and signing and signing. But even on my right side, I got more books here, some of which I signed today will be going out to everybody. So this is a live signing. I will be signing books, but more importantly, when I look up like this, I'm looking at a screen that has all the questions asked by people across the country. When they bought a signed copy, you could ask a question. And I've got a ton of them. I'll be looking at questions if they pop up on the screen as well. I see Rafael Campos, who I served with, by the way, in the military. Thanks for being here, brother. So jump on in. Feel free to submit questions. I'll try to get to them on this feed, but the bigger priority are the people who went and bought a copy at the Premier site, and you can get a signed copy there and you ask questions with it. And I'm just going to go through them, talk a little bit about the book as I do, interface with you guys as well. So it's pretty cool to do a live signing. To kind of be surrounded by your own books is neat. But for me, it's not about the books. It's about the message of American Crusade, which I'm proud of and I think is needed right now. It was written before COVID-19, but of course, COVID-19 has only amplified how I think the subtitle of the book's more important than the title now. The title's American Crusade. The subtitle is Our Fight to Stay Free. If we want to stay free, we got to fight for it. Oh, Tina says she got her signed copy. Loved it. Thank you very much. You can still get signed copies on the link here. PremierCollectibles.com/crusade. Someone asked when they pre-ordered on Amazon, when's it going to ship? Shipping soon. They got a backlog. So many people ordered it, which I'm humbled by and grateful for, that they had a backlog immediately. So even if you pre-ordered it, you may not get it for another couple of days or even a week because they had to, in the COVID world, they had a supply line back up and they had to get to all those copies. So you will get the copy. If you want a signed copy, Premier Collectibles is an awesome place to do it. They've got plenty. I've signed a bunch. I'm going to sign more today. And in fact, let me kick this off. I'll do one sign here for all the wonderful folks out there. And I'll keep signing throughout the entire hour here as we hang out and chat. And I looked at yours. I've seen so many people saying, hey, I ordered it already. It's on the way. But if you want a signed copy or you want something for, Father's Day or for a summer read for your son or your daughter or your mother or your father, I would humbly submit that a signed copy of American Crusade through this site is a great way to go. There's been other sites that have been less than reliable on signed copies. I won't name any names, but Premier does this for a living. And if you order it, it'll be signed and go straight out to you. So you got it. So thank you. You're in my office here in my home. This is where I do TV hits as well. A little bit of a different setup. I'm doing this on my phone right now as opposed to on the camera in here. It was easier that way. But if you've seen it, Fox and Friends or Hannity, you've seen this backdrop, and it's a comfortable one. I always share this one too. This is my Mount Trumpmore, which I got in the mail, which is pretty darn cool. Look, they added them. There's 5 on there now. So anyway, we'll get into this. Let's get into the questions. I'll talk about the book, but if you're ordering the book, you're going to get the full argument, and I'll jump into the questions because that's what people jumped on for. So Jeffrey from Lexington, South Carolina asks, what are some challenges you think the next generation will face? Saving our country. I mean that. I think the next generation faces immense challenges with a left that has been totally unleashed, with generations of kids totally indoctrinated to believe that climate change is the single greatest threat we face on the planet, and we need to change the whole way we live in the next 10 years, we're all going to die. It's always, we're all going to die if we don't do this, this, or this. Yet they ignore the real ideological threats which are ascendant in the world today, namely the communist Chinese. Just look at COVID-19, radical Islamists who are still on the march and still seek our destruction, and we can't forget that. after 9/11. And then, of course, globalists, just sort of internationalist types who want to use international institutions to strangle out sovereignty and freedom for free people and free countries. And you have to be willing to fight for it. And if you're not teaching the next generation that America is good, why would they go out and put... why us old cockroaches will still be here? I love it. That's a funny comment. Yeah, you're right. It will still be there. There'll be some of us that survive the leftist apocalypse that apparently is on its way. So young people fighting through the indoctrination is going to be huge. It's going to be a difficult thing to do. And the challenge of the future is going to be the sort of big lies that the left tells are only going to get louder. And so fighting them, and I talk about those big lies, because they're lies, they're total deceits to young people. They're only going to get bigger and louder, which means we're going to have to be more courageous on our side in order to defeat it. Because you can't just win in the political realm. You got to win, as I talk about in the book, in culture and in education. So let me go to a couple more. Can I run for governor of New Jersey? No, that is not in the plans. For now, no. All right, I just dropped my pen, sorry. I'm gonna grab my pen and then ask, actually when my kids drop their pen in the Hegseth School for Higher Learning, I make them do 10 push-ups, but I'm not gonna do it. There we go, someone just mentioned Hegseth School for Higher Learning. When they drop their pen, they have to do 10 push-ups right away. It's the only way to keep them focused, because otherwise they just lose their mind and run around and do whatever they want and don't pay attention. And if you're gonna talk about serious subjects, you gotta be engaged. Dana from Lakeland, Florida says, will you ever become a politician? I hope not, no. If I ever did run for office, it wouldn't be as a politician. It would be as somebody who believes in what they're fighting for and is going to go unapologetically to Washington and go fight for it, backing down from nobody and taking on the left. So I would never want to categorize myself as a politician, were that were to happen. If you read the book, you will see, you will learn that I did run for office once before in 2011, 2012. In fact, I'll move the camera just for a quick second. See that right there? That's a campaign poster from my run for the U.S. Senate in 2012. You didn't hear anything about it because I got crushed. I write about why it's very good that I didn't win. I'm glad I didn't. It set me on a different trajectory. I learned a lot from that experience. And I've learned that the only way I would ever run is on my own terms. And it'd have to be the right place, the right time with family, with kids. They're all young right now, and you're on the road so much doing it. And I just love what I do at Fox. I love the platform and the opportunity. I'm so grateful for it. And I try to give voice to people who have served this nation and try to represent them as best I can. And trust me, I hear from the guys I serve with all the time. See that symbol behind me is a Rakkasan. That was the unit I was with in the 101st. From that unit, from the guys I was with in the New Jersey Guard in Guantanamo Bay, to the guys I was in Afghanistan with, and other people I've met across the country with veterans work, they'll constantly hit me up and be like, Pete, you're wrong on this, or you're missing this, or what do you think about that? And that really helps me stay grounded in what guys currently serving are still facing and how they feel about the support they're getting or the missions that they have. So I have no desire to go run for office anywhere, and it's wonderful to be liberated from that and to instead be fighting for the cause of God and country in the most highly rated network on the planet, cable network, news network on the planet that gets a chance to be a part of the national conversation. So thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Next question is from William in Beaufort. I hope I got that right. Beaufort, South Carolina. What can we do as a country to keep China from buying up a lot of our manufacturing plants, oil fields, and farmlands? Huge question. What can we do? Raise awareness first and foremost. I mean, thank God we have a president, Donald Trump, who understands the threat of China and is willing to call him out for it. Someone just mentioned the SpaceX launch. Yes, it is right here on my TV on Fox. I'll be watching it too. It's great to see America. How can I get a signed copy? Right down on the link, premiercollectibles.com/crusade. You can get a signed copy right there. But it's great to be seeing American power reprojected into outer space, because guess who's trying to beat us there right now? China. China's trying to beat us at the next level of warfare, which includes space. And they're just, they know that if they can weaponize space and take out the technology that we have, the technological advantage we have, then we can't talk and we can't share and we can't see. We're much more vulnerable. China's building a military to beat us, and we're often building the military of the last war. And that is not a recipe for winning the next war against a threat like China. But on manufacturing, you have to just give a stark choice to U.S. companies. Are you a U.S. company or not? Like, you're not a globalist company. If you're headquartered in America and you benefit from the free market system of what we have, then you can't then use that to give secrets to the communist Chinese, which you're required to do business over there. And we should be vetting every country that looks to buy, or every company that looks to buy up a company in America. So if there's a wealthy Chinese investor that wants to come in, why are we allowing them to buy our manufacturing prowess or buy our production prowess? Like, we can still control it here and export if we want. Exporting can be part of the business model, but you don't have to give away who you are as an American company. I think that in a frustrating sense, we've got an entire generation of young CEOs in Silicon Valley and elsewhere that have been, indoctrinated to believe they're global citizens. And as a result, they don't run their companies like American companies. They run them as if they have no allegiance to any flag. And that has been, it's really, really scary and problematic. And I argue in the book, we have to stare down the Chinese right now. I mean, end our dependency completely on them. They are like the Soviet Union of Reagan's era. We are already effectively in a Cold War too. The question is, will we lean forward and actually, reposition how we operate in the world to defeat China's global ambitions? And that requires protecting our manufacturing, orienting our military toward that threat, not allowing, you just can't be on the slanted playing field. I mean, another thing I learned about it through researching the book, are these Confucius institutes that are at our universities in America that are effectively Chinese propaganda institutes paid for by the Chinese government, started in our universities because they'll happily take money. They're all globalists. They don't have an allegiance to the United States of America, or they used to. They don't anymore. And so we literally pump Chinese propaganda into the brains of American kids and students and graduate students. Yet where's the George Washington Institute in Beijing, or the Lincoln Center in Beijing? You know what I mean? There's no reciprocity ever with the Chinese. If it's good for them, they do it. If it's not good for them, they stop it, and then they expect equal treatment. And then you've got, as Trump points out, the president points out time and time again, you've got how they're able to use these international organizations to their advantage, and then wield them against us. And that doesn't make sense either. So second guessing all of the things that we've done to be a part of these international institutions is important. They were created after World War II by the winners of World War II, and they served American interests for a long time. No longer do they, and as a result, it's time to leave them. Time to reject them, time to create our own systems, our own networks, what do we talk about in the past? I think I write a League of Republics is what it should be, where like the few like-minded free countries on the planet bond together, work together, plan together, and we put China on their heels, not try to work with them at the UN Security Council where they're always going to reject the kind of things that we stand for. So it's you have to take them on directly and reject this leftist call that these international institutions somehow serve our interest. They do not. Stop debating about, like, do we do a little bit less at the UN? Or no, just get rid of the UN. Just get rid of it. It is a poisoned body. It is an anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic institution that's now bonds together to gang up on us, to gang up on the West. And what use does it have? We know that talking to each other is better than shooting at each other if we can avert a war. That's the idea of the UN. But that's not what it has effectively become. And it's too bad. The League of Nations was broke up for what we have now. Why did we stop getting rid of the government? Yeah, the League of Nations was broken up, but we should have a League of Republics. And we could, I think John McCain actually ran on something like that. One of the things he understood correctly was how bad the UN is. So something to think about. And thank you very much for the question. China is our enemy. We need to label them as such and take them on at every single front. Tammy from, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, Bacchus, Ohio. Why do you think the MSM, the mainstream media, is so biased? Is there money in it for them? From whom? Soros. Why do I think here's the thing. They've been biased for a very, very, very long time. We just didn't know it because we didn't have an ability to check them. Take, for example, what they did to A.G. Bard, his answer the other day, where they didn't play the 1 minute long clip part of his answer before, he said, history is written by the winners, right? They just didn't include it. And then they mocked him or criticized him for not saying something that they intentionally took out. Okay, so that's fake news by omission. You didn't include it. Think back, 60s, 70s, 80s. There were 3 or 4 men in the country who hosted 30 minutes of nightly news television broadcasts. They read 30 minutes worth of script off of a teleprompter, and they controlled what millions of Americans understood the news to be, right? It was, the evening news, ABC, NBC, CBS, those 3 men and what they said on a teleprompter for 30 minutes controlled the entire national dialogue. How many times do you think they did the fake news omission? How many times do you think they spun it their way? I mean, look at Vietnam, all these things. Of course they did. We just didn't know it. So the elites have been capturing our media for the better part of 6 decades, since the 60s at a minimum. And we just didn't know it because we weren't able to sort of collectively identify those places, call them out on social media, which is now slanted against conservatives, as we all know. And so it's always been that way. And they understand that if you control the information and you control the words, then you control the debate and you control the country. And the elites like it that way. It's why they hate Trump's Twitter feed so much, is because he jumps over the top of all of them with his own point of view, and he can get the truth out there. And that's why they want to squelch him. I mean, you see what Twitter's going after him now. So they always try to find the new ways to censor or the new ways to control. And for free thinkers like us, free people who believe in truth, who believe America's a special place, you have to find your own platforms, your own places. I mean, thank God for Fox News Channel and what it created as a balance to the rest of the media that's been biased for decades and decades and decades. Linda says, how can we stop mail-in ballots? Thank goodness Trump is doing that. Of course, when he's fighting it, now Twitter is labeling him, that you have to fact check it. I mean, it is so, what the Trump era, and I write about this in the book, American Crusade. Again, this is a live signing, and so I am signing books in between. I've signed a bunch before. You can get a signed copy at the link on this live signing link. But what I use this analogy. I didn't actually use it in the book. Maybe I'll use it in the next one. But I've used it to describe what Donald Trump has done. The most deadly form of an ambush you can walk into as an infantryman is a L-shaped ambush, a near ambush, right? So if you're an infantry platoon leader, you're taught if you get caught in a near ambush, meaning the enemy's right on top of you and you have nowhere to go, the only thing you can't do is stay on the X, is to stay in the kill zone. You got to move. You got to move. And the only way to effectively get out of a near ambush is to charge toward the people shooting at you effectively. And for decades, what Republicans have done is sit in the kill zone as the left just goes after them completely with all the avenues that they have, and they sit and they try to, let's negotiate and let's explain, and we're not that bad, and that's how they did it. Yeah, go straight in. Chad Daniels, you know that. We served together. He's on the feed right now. You got to assault through, Vince says. Exactly. You have to assault through a near ambush. Well, that's what Donald Trump did. He's assaulted through the near ambush from the beginning. And what happens when you assault through a near ambush? If you're successful, eventually the enemy has to come out of their covered and concealed positions. They have to come out of the tall grass. They have to expose themselves because you're on top of them. And they're not used to that. So in this case, in this moment, Donald Trump has charged back into the near ambush. He's exposed them. They popped out of the tall grass, and all the people who are pretending to be patriotic or pretending to be capitalists or pretending to be moderate, they've all shown how much underneath it all is naked leftism and how much they hate the American system. They want to define us by our sins. I mean, the 1619 Project of the New York Times is a perfect example. They want to define us by our sins, rewrite history, and Beth Smith said her son died as a Marine in Iraq in 04-05. God bless him. God bless that man. We remember him every day, especially on Memorial Day. So thank you for that. And he would know, about the idea of the near ambush. So the left's exposed now. We know who they are, and the media is a great example of that. They were never unbiased. They've always been biased. We just didn't know it, and we had no one expose them the way Trump does without giving a damn, right? He just calls them names, calls them out, and they show us who they are in the process. So I think I don't call them the mainstream media anymore, by the way. I think we should stop using that. Somebody on here replaced my unit in Afghanistan. Cool. And I do thank you for the shout out on the Rakistan hat. I got this from the Rakistan Association. They got some great swag. So big shout out to them. So yeah, he's exposed them. The book tries to continue to expose them. I have an entire section. If you open up the book, entire section called Leftism. Part 2 is Leftism, and it's got 9 chapters on every aspect of leftism. And a good friend of mine at the channel said, Pete, you wrote the decoder key of the left, the decoder ring, of the left, helping decode who they are and what they. That's George Floyd. We served together in Afghanistan, so it's great to hear from you, First Sergeant. Awesome to have so many good buddies who I serve with on this feed. And I'm grateful, as always, for what they did with me and teaching me. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I know where I was on the who's my tattoo artist? NYC Hardcore Tattoo in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Guy's great. Mark Harada's his name. He does amazing work. Real good dude. Unfortunately, he's shut down right now because of he's not essential, according to Governor Cuomo. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, you ultimately, when it comes to the media, don't call them the mainstream media. They're not mainstream at all. They're left wing. And someone on the road for Fox and Friends said, Pete, stop saying mainstream media. It gives them credibility as if they're mainstream and we're not. You're totally right. Just call them the left wing media. Steve Doocy sometimes calls them the legacy media. I like that too. Just because you've been around for a while doesn't mean you're right or good at what you do. Don't call them the MSM. I totally agree with that. All right, next question. So thank you, Tammy, for that question. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your beautiful city in Ohio. Montgomery, Alabama. Mike Peacock writes, which of your tattoos has the most important meaning to you and why? I'd probably say the first. I have one tattoo I won't show because it's private to me and Jenny. And that's probably the most important one to me because it's my first. And it's right here. It's on my left arm underneath the sleeve. And it's similar to one that she has. So I'm definitely disposed to that one. But I'd also say the cross tattoo, which I can't show well on this, but on my forearm, it's the first one I got. And it stands for Matthew 10:34, which is Jesus is talking and says, I didn't come to bring peace, but instead war. But instead a sword, he said. And ultimately, it's to remind us that if you live for Jesus Christ or you live for anything of value, of course, you're going to have conflict in your life, in the lives around you, and you just have to be prepared for that. And so this tattoo reminds me of the fact that Jesus talked about it will not be easy standing up for what you believe in. And Matthew 10:34, I think, holds a lot of value. And then, of course, a couple people you mentioned it. I mean, We the People is definitely up there. I love it. I'm so glad I did it. And when I was a kid, I almost got a tattoo of, and I got a little burned the other day, but I got a tattoo of a basketball hoop with a flaming basketball going through it. And I wanted it really bad because all I cared about was basketball as a kid. And my dad, thank you, Dad, said, Pete, do not do that. You will regret that someday. So instead of a flaming basketball hoop tattoo on my right shoulder, I have my unit crest from the Rakisans. And regimental affiliation means just a tad bit more than a flaming basketball hoop would have. So hold off on tattoos till you feel like you're ready to actually put something on your body that you know you will like years from now. But I really, each of them have some level of special meaning to me. I really like the join or die as well. Fits in there real nice. And is a reminder that we always have to bond together if we believe in something and fight for it. Thank you, everyone who's writing on the live feed. I'm reading them. I appreciate it. I'm reading as many of them as I can, seeing folks from all over the country. It's awesome to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to see. This is from Nick, Charlotte, North Carolina. He says, I'm an old tanker. Did you ever see an Abrams in action when you served? I did, only briefly though, not in action, meaning on an actual combat assault or on an objective. The unit we replaced in Iraq, in Samara, in late 05, early 06, was a mech unit. And so I did a couple of patrols with them in there. I'm pretty sure it was an Abrams. My apologies to the tankers out there. all I know is I was speeding down an Iraqi highway with my head out the hatch, getting, on the left seat, right seat when you're training to take over the battle space from a unit. You go with them on their patrols for 2 or 3 days, and they're in charge, and then you go out and you're in charge, but they're with you on the patrols for 2 or 3 days, and then after a week, the replacement happens. So I have been in combat, but never sort of planned an operation where they were used alongside me. They are absolutely magnificent and beautiful vehicles, I will say that. So thank you for your service, Nick. Charlotte, love Charlotte. I feel like eventually I'll be landing in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, or Texas has probably the biggest sweet spot in America. Still lives in Texas. I mean, they have their own Pledge of Allegiance to the Republic of Texas. It's amazing. Okay, this question is, but so many great patriots out here as well, everywhere, all across the country. This is Judy from Sanborn, New York. What is your most memorable moment during your time in the military? I think it's probably, like for a lot of guys, I mean, the entirety of the moments that you face and the things you go through with people never leave you. And they leave an imprint on your heart. But I would say probably the first time I got shot at, in anger, and shot back, it's one of those things you're never prepared for until it happens the first time. And I happened to be smoking a cigarette in the turret of my Humvee. We were at a combat outpost and observation post looking over a freeway that had tons of IEDs on it. And so we're kind of overwatching it in rotation patrols. And it's 4 a.m, right about stand to, so the sun's about to come up. I'm taking a shift in the turret around on the 50 cal, and just boom, boom, two mortars land right near our position, and then they open up with heavy machine gun fire. And your first instinct is to drop, of course, it just is, and you drop. And then the next instinct is, I gotta get my head out as quick as possible. And most of it's because I don't want the guys to think I'm not ready for this. And because your instinct is still like, holy shit. But I popped right up, started returning fire, and then eventually handed it over to the proper gunner, because I had to get on the radio and call in the birds and all the stuff that went after that. So I'll never forget that. And you dwell on every moment of the first time and after. Did I make the right decision? Did I make it fast enough? Did we execute the way we should? Should we have gone this route or that route? There's a lot of second guessing that can go into it, which is why I'm immensely empathetic to what guys go through when they come home, and especially that have seen such worse combat than I ever did. And what you can do sitting in in your own mind has a lasting impact on you forever. Like, I came back from combat a totally different person, and understandably so. I write about that a little bit in the book. Let's see, the next one, Alicia. And again, the book's got my face on it and everything, but it's not about me. It's not a story. I tell stories in there to try to drive home certain points. But it's come to Georgia, we're open. Got my hair done. I need a haircut. I mean, this is embarrassing. So yeah, it's getting pretty bad. But I've got, Griff and I kind of have a deal that first one to cut their hair loses. And since Griff is manning the post right now on Fox and Friends, he's got, a mullet like you've never seen in the back. Mine's getting kind of out of control on top, and we'll see who can hold out on that. Thank you for your service as well. Hey, from the Twin Cities. Thank you guys all for jumping in. How do we make politicians remember they work for the people? Alicia from Texas. A moment like this is a perfect moment, COVID-19, a perfect moment. You take collective action. If you need to getting pretty gray, it's true. I've earned every single one of these grays, every single one. Why am I going gray? Would you dye it? No, I'm not going to dye it because, again, I've earned them all. And if I cut my hair, you can't see the gray. So that's probably, cutting it short will probably, Camaro Griff, that's exactly right. Cutting it short will, takes the gray away a lot I'm not going to do any coloring. It's just, life is life. You earn them. It is what it is. You have to take collective action, responsible civil disobedience. When you see all the businesses opening at the same time, or a whole block or a whole town opens together, what's the mayor going to do? Shut everybody down? What's he going to do? Fine every business in your city? You can't. So you have to act together and act boldly on the things that you know are the right thing to do, and then dare them to be against you, dare them to show their true colors, dare them to expose how radical they are. And they do. I mean, look at Attila's Gym here in New Jersey, which I covered on Fox and Friends. That not only did the state harass customers and give them summons down the road away from the TV cameras, they would follow them out of the parking lot. And the cops don't want to be doing this. I love the cops. It's but the state actually went in on Friday night before the long holiday and changed the locks of the business in a way that there's no way it's constitutional what was done there, and they're fighting it in court with a lawyer and based on constitutional grounds. And them, again, it's the courage to be the one that sticks out, the one that goes first. And then that motivates other people to move. And pretty soon, the Open America, says Peggy O'Connor, she's totally right. Pretty soon together, we're stronger than whatever any politician can tell us we can or can't do. Same with churches, same with things like that. We just have to open, and we have to know what our rights are, be bold with them, and stick it out. And I write about this in the book of how to take action. How do we do this? This is not just here's what the left is and here are the problems with the left. It's the last chapter is make the crusade great again. And the idea is to give you a roadmap of how, as citizens, collectively, we can fight this. Everyone's saying, I've noticed you've lost weight. Maybe it's because there's not so much food on set. That's actually a really good point. Although I do eat McDonald's every morning when I host in Studio F in New York City. The McDonald's across the street is open. And so I go, how do we get schools reopened? They got to open. We got to find ways to get in the ears of the principals, get in the ears of the school boards now. Send them the information, the studies that are publicly available of how it, in certain countries and other places, opening schools has been very doable as long as you continue to protect the people that are the most vulnerable. We know exactly who that is right now. So that to me is very doable, and I think an important bright line in the fall is to say, hey, what do you think of Dan Crenshaw 2024? I think Dan Crenshaw is fantastic, okay? And I think he's got amazing opportunities in front of him, whatever they may end up being. 2024 is going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of high quality people throwing their hat into that ring. And I think we'll have an embarrassment of riches. A lot of it'll depend on where the big guy, the president, two-term president, decides to land on who he would support. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fascinating. But thank goodness we get 4 more years, we pray and we hope, of the president on top. Let's see, Mark in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Pete, you're a hero in many ways, and I wondered if it's tough dealing with some of the liberal knuckleheads you interview. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes you got to hold your tongue a little bit. Remember, it's not meant to be crossfire all the time. So every time we have a liberal on or a leftist on, it's important to hear a little bit of where they're coming from. But man, you've seen me on the show here or there, when they cross the line or they start making false statements or saying crazy shit, I have to jump in and come back. And they know that when they come on the show. Somebody said, I think 2024 could be DeSantis versus Cuomo. Who knows? It's amazing. I mean, look at the contrast of how they've handled this. I mean, DeSantis has really done a fantastic job, and it's cool to see that finally be recognized, even if they don't want to. And Cuomo, he tells a press conference every day, but he's been a disaster. A couple people said we met at the Wildwood rally for Trump. Absolutely. I hope he gets those rallies going again fairly soon. So you just listen. When lefties come on the show, yes, we let them speak, but they're also treated very well by Fox and Friends. Like we're a show, we're a political show, we're an opinion show. They have an opinion, we let them come on and talk, and then I'm going to have my side on it, and as are the other hosts. So I think if you talk to Democrats who work at Fox, they're always very appreciative of how they're treated by Fox, and you compare that with how conservatives are treated at CNN or MSNBC. I mean, I know a lot of friends who have gone to be contributors at those places, and they say it's horrible how they're treated top down. And I guess that's the tolerance you could expect, that we've come to expect from lefties and Democrats. They never quite reciprocate on the tolerance they demand of you. It is what it is. All right, Jocelyn from Branchville, New Jersey. Did your service prepare you for fighting for freedom on the home front? That's from William Hayden. Of course, absolutely. But you need to, it's a whole nother battlefield, right? It's at least you can, even when the enemy doesn't wear uniforms, at least you generally know who they are. Oftentimes in the political sense, people are whisper campaigns or anonymous Twitter feeds or all the stuff that happens. You just have to mostly ignore it and know exactly what you stand for, and just plow ahead. Don't let the critics try to define you or think too much about what they're saying. It's not ever useful. Again, this is the live signing. I've got stacks of books. You can't see it. You can't see them, but I swear they're down here. And I'm signing books. I've signed a bunch before, so there's plenty of books that John says he's got the same We the People tattoo. That's awesome. Plenty of books. Go to premiercollectibles.com/crusade. You can get a signed copy. It's a bargain. Get it for your father, mother, father-in-law, summer read, grandparents, parents. I did explain some of my tattoos already, sorry, but they all have some level of meaning. I didn't talk yet about the Roman numerals. That's 1775, the year the army was founded, also the year we first shot at the Brits, and it really became a revolution. It's one thing to write it down. It's another thing to actually put your skin in the game, and thank God we had patriots back then who were willing to. Mary from Independence, Minnesota says, do you think President Trump will win Minnesota? I do. I think the state has a ton of problems, and the liberals there don't run it well. There's a huge disconnect between outstate Minnesota and the Minneapolis-St. Paul. I think the president has a really strong opportunity in Minnesota. Remember, he barely, he campaigned there a little bit, but it wasn't a huge focus, and he was as tight as anyone has been. I think he's got a heck of a shot in 2020 as well in Minnesota, and of course across the country. Tara in Oshkosh, Wisconsin says, my dad's a fan. He sent the cane to your parents' house. I know the Wilborn boys, so I was able to get their address. Got it. Okay, very cool. So I got a couple of canes that were beautifully inscripted. One for me, one for the president. I haven't had a chance to get it to the president yet, but it's on the to-do list. And Aaron Wilborn played basketball a couple of years in front of me at Forest Lake in high school, and so very cool. Let's see. Peter says, as a fellow Homedale resident, where I now live in New Jersey, how do we turn New Jersey red? First of all, this is an amazing opportunity right now where you call out Murphy and his idea that the Bill of Rights is above his pay grade. Listen, there's so many conservative patriots in New Jersey. It's amazing. And because they're in a blue state and under siege, I mean, they're hardcore and committed, and it's awesome. It's like a lot of other states like California. There's just going to have to be a concerted effort to, especially after COVID, to explain to people and show them how a Republican state or governor would have handled it differently, and get them to sort of reject the status quo in New Jersey. It's not an easy thing to do, but it could be done. Let's see. I've only got a couple minutes left here. Eric says, from Bakersfield, California, why did you join Fox News? I was a commentator for many years on vets and military issues, and then one day they gave me a chance to host Fox and Friends on the weekend. That was when Tucker was hosting Fox and Friends on the weekend, and it must have gone okay. And then Tucker went to primetime, as you all know, and they needed sort of a conservative voice on the couch, and I jumped in, and it must have gone okay. And some people are saying, by the way, yes, on the New Jersey question, join Convention of States, which I'm heavily involved with, Article 5 convention, that would very much restrict the power of the federal government. You can do it through the Constitution in Article 5. New Jersey has a very strong chapter. In fact, I'm doing an event tomorrow, a virtual event with them tomorrow. And I know Mark Meckler, who runs it. He's amazing. And I think the movement's taken a bit of a pause since Trump was elected president, just because people feel like he's fighting the good fight. But eventually, it's the kind of thing we're going to need in this country. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Judith from Delray Beach, Florida says, how do I make a difference? Read the book. Honestly, read the book. It is meant to lay out how all of us, wherever we are, whatever we can affect, can make a difference. So I would say check that out, and it probably will help provide some clarity, because it's not just help Donald Trump get elected in 2020 and the national political thing. This is a book about meeting you where you're at, and what you can do within your sphere of influence with your family and your community and your school, especially, or your grandkids' school or the schools near you. So I think it will help chart a course about how to do that. Have you thought about who your running mate will be when you run for president of the United States? No, that was from Robert from Homestead, Florida. I appreciate that, Robert. Way above my pay grade. Why don't I quote that from Phil Murphy right now? I'm very happy doing what I did in what I do at Fox News Channel. So grateful for it. Where did your love of country come from, Jeff? Listen, I think it came from my parents. It came from my community. It came from the veterans I got to know, and then it only just grew and grew and grew over time. I had to fight through the leftist filter at Princeton, which was already starting to teach that America is a bad place, and our history is only an evil one defined by our sins. But once you learn about America and how special it really is, and then you travel around the world and you see other countries, it's a no-brainer. Once you understand the ingredients, and then you understand the context of the flaws that we've had, racial sins, slavery, civil rights, the women's suffrage movement, all the things that we moved through. Once you understand them in their context and how we overcame them, and we overcame them because of the values that we were living up to more and more by fulfilling the promise of the Declaration, you can't help but fall in love with America. And once you understand that, you realize how special it is. At least for me, I want to do everything I can every day to fight for it. And that's what American Crusade is about. That's why I wrote the book. I had this chance on TV. It's amazing. But I had more to say, and I wanted people to get kind of a full sense of how bad it's gotten with the left in America and how badly we need patriots standing up for the country. So thank you for the question. John from Eagle Springs, North Carolina says we were on JTF Gitmo together. He was at the KB, which is I can't remember if that's the windward side or the leeward side. I can't remember. He was a medic. What do you remember from that adventure? I left with an enlarged liver and a scuba certificate. I think a lot of guys left with that. I did not get a scuba certificate. I was a platoon leader. We had a ton of stuff going on. I just didn't do that. I spent a lot of time in the gym. And yes, there was a lot of drinking because you could drink at Guantanamo Bay, obviously not on duty, but it was different than Iraq or Afghanistan. So guys would imbibe from time to time. Steve from El Mirage, Arizona. Hi, Pete. Long time no see. Keep up the good work. Next time you're in Phoenix, I will buy you a cold drink. You're on the hook, Steve. Sounds great. I would love it. I hope to get back on the road soon. I mean, as soon as humanly possible, because it is so necessary. Let me see if I push that, if that helps. It's so necessary that we reopen and we show the country that we're ready to get back out there. And I love my assignment with Fox and Friends to go to diners and go to rallies and just hear from regular people and connect with them. So I hope to be on the road very, very soon. Who's the name of your tattoo artist? I've gotten that multiple times. His name's Mark Harada. He runs NYC Hardcore Tattoos. They're closed right now, but they will be back open soon. He's a great guy. He's become a friend. Frank, Fort Worth, Texas. What is the name? Oh, that's one I just did. Are your eyes really two different colors, or am I seeing things? No, they are two different colors. I've got blue eyes, but a little brown speck in one of them, and I think there's a name for it. I'm sure you guys will know, but I do have one color eye that's a little bit different. Did you have a nickname in the military? Yeah, I did. Every unit at certain moments you have a nickname, and but I'll pass on that one for now. It's not bad. It's just, is that really you on the cover, or has some parts been photoshopped? It is 100% me and 100% not photoshopped. That picture was taken actually in the cul-de-sac of my house that we live on, and obviously the only thing that's photoshopped is the white off it. And one other thing, there was a ring on this flagpole that we took off just to make it look contiguous, but otherwise not a single thing photoshopped on it, I promise. No fake news on the cover of the book. That's just not going to happen. Thank you for your service. In your opinion, who do you believe poses the greatest risk to the USA? In my opinion, it's the left. It's the American left, and what they want. It's what I write about openly in the book. It's the American left. And then, because if we can't keep our country free and strong, how do you take on the communist Chinese? How do you take on radical Islamists? How do you take on globalists? How do you take on all the other threats to freedom in the world? Without a vibrant, strong America, you can talk about all the other threats you want, but you can't do anything about it. James in Ludington, Michigan, do you put ketchup on a hot dog? A lot less than I used to. I used to be all ketchup. Now I'm almost all mustard. And I'll put some onions and relish on maybe. But now I do almost all mustard and sometimes a little bit of ketchup. But I usually save the ketchup with the mayo for the fries, which is really the most tasty combo in my humble opinion. What's your most, after Trump 2020, what do you see? Listen, I think this is an amazing opportunity for him to consolidate the things that he's done. I'm not wishing for anyone to pass away, but we got some older folks on the Supreme Court, and he might get 2 more picks. Oh, sure, yeah, come here. So a 7-2 Supreme Court. Come here, Gwenny. My Gwenny's gonna come in and say hello. Oh, can you say hi to everybody? And look right there. Can you say hi? Can you wave? This is Gwenny. Gwenny, show them your tattoos. Oh, she wanted some tattoos, so I can buy them little tattoo printer paper. And she's got We the People. What do you have here, Gwen, on your arm? What's that?
Gun and the flag.
Gun and the flag, yep. And what do you have here? What do you have on your... Oh, what's that?
Cross.
A cross? Yeah. So she likes Daddy's tattoos, and so she got some of her own. And she's...
No cross on my boobie.
That's exactly right. She is absolutely adorable.
And the cross on my back.
Yeah. Oh, you want one on your back too?
Yeah.
Oh, apparently I didn't know she wanted a back tattoo. So she is such a blessing. And Jenny's just off camera here. And unfortunately, I would keep it going, but my phone is about to die. I'm doing this on my iPhone, and I've got like 5% left. Come say hello for a second, babe. Just come here. Come here. She doesn't want to. She's being forced to. Oh, the face is reluctant. Come here. There she is. There she is. The lovely Jennifer. I love you, Gwenny. You want to go in the pool?
Yeah.
Okay. Go. All right. So that's a good way to wrap. I can't top that. But I write in the front of the book, specifically, the dedication is... This book is for our children, Gunnar, Jackson, Peter Boone, Kenzie, Luke, Rex, and Gwendolyn, and for yours. And I mean that. Like, I wrote this for we have 7 kids in a blended family, and I want all of them to, fear God and love America and be a little American crusaders to fight for freedom. And I want the same for yours. And we need the next generation of those people. We need to inspire them. We need to teach them. We need to give them a little tough love. And make sure they learn why America is the most special yet fragile country on the planet, and we need to fight for her. So I appreciate all of you joining me for this. I would encourage you, please, go to premiercollectibles.com/crusade. I know I've only signed 1, now I'll sign 2 on this live signing, but I promise you I've signed thousands to the tune of many thousand. And if you want a signed copy, you can get it there, premiercollectibles.com/crusade. Share it with friends and family, because there are a lot of people out there who have been asking me where they can get a signed copy, because the big boxers, the Amazons, they don't really do signed copies, or they run out of them pretty quickly. This is what Premier does. premiercollectibles.com/crusade. For the summer, for Father's Day, for birthdays, for anything you're looking for. I give it to the friend or the family member who's a little skeptical, doesn't really know where they are or what they think of this whole thing. I think it'll help on that front as well. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on, I think, Hannity tonight, Fox and Friends over the weekend, and my good friend Stu Varney tomorrow as well on the Fox Business Network. So staying busy. And I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day. We remember everybody who made the ultimate sacrifice and did so that we can all live free and enjoy it. So love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, we'll see you.